History is filled with moments so bizarre, so shocking, that they should have been burned into our memories. But somehow, they weren't. Your teacher conveniently skipped over them. Maybe they were too strange, too uncomfortable, or just too unbelievable. But today, we bring them back. And trust me, by the end of this video you'll never look at history the same way again. Let's start with an event so terrifying that it shook an entire country. Picture this. It's 1518 in Strasbourg, France. A woman walks into the town square and starts dancing. Not unusual, right? Except she doesn't stop. Hours turn into days. And then, others join her. Dozens, then hundreds, flailing, spinning, convulsing, until their feet bled and their bodies collapsed from exhaustion. Some even danced themselves to death. Doctors had no explanation. Was it mass hysteria? A curse? Or, dare I say, something more sinister? Oh, and their solution? Just keep dancing. It'll fix itself. Brilliant. But hey, maybe that's not weird enough for you. Maybe you need something bigger. Something explosive. Well, let's fast forward to 1958. The United States government drops a live nuclear bomb. On itself. Yes, you heard that right. Somewhere over South Carolina, a routine flight turns into a disaster when a B-47 bomber accidentally releases a 7,600-pound nuclear warhead. The bomb crashes down, and miraculously it doesn't detonate. But here's the terrifying part. If it had, it would have been one of the worst nuclear disasters in American history. And get this, the nuclear core was never even installed. So, we were this close to obliterating a piece of the country, by accident. Can you imagine waking up to the news that your entire town just ceased to exist? And you thought leaving the oven on was bad. But now, let's talk about something that didn't just threaten a city, but the entire world. We all know about the Cuban Missile Crisis, but what if I told you we were even closer to nuclear annihilation than you were ever taught? Meet Vasily Arkhipov, the man who, quite literally, saved the world. It was October 1962. A Soviet submarine, deep underwater, was cut off from communication. American ships above started dropping depth charges, an aggressive warning. The crew inside the submarine panicked. They thought war had already begun. And what do you do when you think war has started? You fire back. The submarine commander was ready to launch a nuclear torpedo that would have triggered World War III. But one man, Arkhipov, stood in his way. He refused to give the launch order. He argued, he pleaded, he stopped nuclear war with sheer determination. And yet, how many history books mention his name? But let's go even deeper. What if I told you that the United States and the Soviet Union nearly destroyed the world again just a decade later? Flash forward to 1983. The Cold War is still raging. Tensions are sky high. And then, it happens. The Soviet missile detection system suddenly signals an incoming U.S. nuclear strike. 5 ballistic missiles on their way. Alarms blare. Military officers rush to action. Protocol is clear, immediate retaliation. But one man, Stanislav Petrov, hesitates. Something doesn't feel right. Instead of launching a counterstrike, he waits, and waits, until finally the radar signal is revealed to be a false alarm. A glitch in the system. One mistake, one push of a button, and the world as we know it would have ended. And yet, Petrov's name is barely whispered in the history books. Still not convinced history is stranger than fiction? Let's travel back even further to 1788, when Australia's fate was decided by rabbits. Yes, rabbits. When British colonists arrived in Australia, they brought 24 rabbits with them for hunting. No big deal, right? Except, rabbits breed like, well, rabbits. Within a few decades, millions of them roamed the land, eating crops, destroying ecosystems, and becoming an unstoppable force of nature. The government tried everything: fences, poison, shooting squads. Nothing worked. The Great Rabbit Plague lasted for over a century, proving that sometimes, the smallest decisions can have the biggest consequences. So, let's put this in perspective. A dance plague, a dropped nuke, a forgotten hero who prevented global destruction. Twice, and an entire continent invaded by rabbits. And your history teacher decided that memorizing dates was more important than this? But now, you know. And the next time someone says history is boring, well, just tell them about the day the world almost ended, multiple times. If you want more hidden stories from history, the kind they don't teach in school, hit that subscribe button and let's uncover the past, together.